for being here. Thank you so much. Well, in the middle of this rather lengthy gospel, a little paragraph there about a mustard seed. That particular parable is in all three of the synoptic gospels, and the dominant interpretation for that particular parable is that God uses small things to accomplish great things, or big things have small beginnings. And that's a fine interpretation. It's a reasonable one. But I think that the gospel writer wants us to look a little bit deeper than that. You see, most of Jesus' parables tend to be risky, and they tend to be disturbing. They're not what people expect them to mean. And this particular parable, the mustard seed, is no different. You see, the Jewish listeners to this parable would have preferred that Jesus would say, the kingdom of God is like the great Lebanon tree, the cedars of Lebanon. Indeed, this is a magnificent tree that grows probably over 300 feet in height. It's a symbol of might and power. That's what they wanted him to say. But instead, Jesus uses a tiny mustard seed. An insignificant seed, which turns not into a 300-foot tall tree, but a shrub. You see, the mustard seed, in truth, is actually a pest. It's a weed. Roundup time, you know? It's a weed. Unwanted and insignificant. That plant would flourish where it was not wanted. And that, keep in mind, not wanted. And that, sisters and brothers, is what Jesus said the kingdom is really like. Not made up of the rich and the powerful, the mighty, those who were in charge of things. No. Not made up of people who control stuff, get people to do things for them, you know. People in charge. But a kingdom of social justice. A kingdom free of oppression and discrimination. A kingdom for everybody. A kingdom for all, but especially for the unwanted. The refugees. Boy, can we talk about that for a while. The poor. The immigrants. The disenfranchised. And anyone in society who is different. Like the tiny mustard seed. All of these, who are the children of the Beatitudes, would be treated with dignity, lifted up, treated with justice. Now, we all know that God is not going to directly intervene in this work of bringing justice to the world. That's our job. That's what we do. We've heard the Word. Jesus is the Word. We've heard the gospel. Now it's our turn to do the work. We also taught in this parable of the mustard seed that you don't have to be mighty and powerful and rich to overcome injustices like homophobia, discrimination, of all sorts, religious intolerance, racism, sexism, bullying, pushing people around, subtly or otherwise, all forms of injustice. You and I are called to live out the deeper meaning of this little tiny parable. We are called to become like the pesky, tiny, insignificant mustard seed. You and I. And there is no stopping the work of the kingdom. There is no stopping the proclamation of the kingdom, first proclaimed by Jesus and given the invitation to each one of us to proclaim it. And then and only then, can the power of God working in each one of us do immeasurably more than we could ever hope for or imagine. Roll up the sleeves. We've got a job to do. Church said amen. Amen.